Welcome to the Tradier Rundown. I am Jim Urio. That is Bob Iacchino. Bobby, do you think it's something genetic that Italians just gravitate towards black T-shirts? Is that just something?
I do. I just think there's sort of a tradition handed down generation after generation of wearing shirts where they can't see you as well at nighttime.
That could easily be because perhaps we were running from people. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Okay,
Yeah.
Today's topic of the rundown is going to be the Magnificent Seven. That seems to have lost might be a hyperbolic, but not as prominent a leadership role over the last couple months as they had previously. First of all, do you think things have changed, and is AI still going to be the main investment theme of 2025?
So I think things always change. And I think this is an example of, so the rundown starts talking about how Jim Cramer coined FANG, which was Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, which I always said should have been FanMag, should have been Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Microsoft, Amazon, Google.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
But either way, when you get these terms like the Magnificent Seven, that actually is somewhat self-fulfilling, where people go, these are the Magnificent Seven, then these are the seven I'm supposed to invest with. I think the theme of right now, and we talked about this in the summit a little bit, I think it's sort of the picks and shovel of AI. So you're talking about NVIDIA, ARM, Taiwan Semiconductor, ASML, things like that. And then maybe 5 years from now, but more likely 10 years from now, you're going to be shifting to the stocks or the companies that actually benefit from the AI once the infrastructure is built. And that's why I think the best thing to look at for right now, because the Magnificent Seven have run so much, has been a thing you've been on ad nauseum, is things like copper. Because you're talking about the build out, the actual physical build out to support AI. I think that's the most important thing.
Do you think it's fair to say the Magnificent Seven, where it was really just mostly the Magnificent One? And have you ever seen one stock so dominant in such a, over a period of time as NVIDIA had been?
I don't think I have. I really don't. Not to this level. I mean, you could say Amazon for a while. You could say Apple for a while. You could say Tesla
back in the 60s. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but not to this, not to this level. You'd probably have to go all the way back to the 2000 and look at Cisco, when Cisco was the only one making routers that worked with the modern internet properly. They just had the most effective router. And the interesting thing about that, and I'm not telling people to sell NVIDIA, is if you bought Cisco near the highs in 2000, 2001, don't quote me on the exact year, you're still waiting for that price again.
That's amazing.
Back there. So that's something what, I think NVIDIA is still very investable, but be careful when that top comes.
Okay, so tell me this. We got a 50 basis point cut today.
Yeah.
There is a notion that lower rates are going to disproportionately benefit the Russell and the smaller companies that are 3 times more likely to use floating rates than stocks outside of the Russell. So here, bear with me on this because it's getting a little complicated. I want to make sure I'm making myself clear. So there was some notion that there was going to be the rotation from the Magnificent Seven into the Russell. I contend that there probably still is some big money that has that trade on, long the Magnificent Seven, short the Russell, and they've had it on for 18 months. If this rate cut today tends to fuel the Russell, can the Russell going up by itself force the Mag 7 to go down by people exiting positions? Is that possible, or will they go up together with just the Russell behaving better?
So this is the first time I'm hearing this, which means I haven't thought of it myself. I say yes, because I think there's 2 things that are going to power the Russell in the near term. Number one, rate cuts, like you just said. Number 2, the Russell is the best performing index by percentage and by probability after a presidential election.
Interesting.
So since we have a presidential election, there's a lot of different scenarios. The Russell is the most reliable long after a presidential election. So I think you have twofold tailwind to the Russell. So I think that's absolutely possible because, we've talked about this before. They sell winners and they chase.
Exactly. Okay. So I think that could be, how long ago did you move out of Chicago, by the way?
It's coming up on 4 years.
Okay. Because Chicagoans say scenario, not scenario. Scenario is fancy. It's
when
not.
I started doing financial television at the TMZ of financial media, CNBC. Yeah, I don't mind saying no there. They're jerk. But I started working on losing my non-regional diction. You join me for a bourbon or two like we did with Lex very recently, and you'll hear it come out.
Back to Chicago and scenario. Thank you guys very much. I'm Jim Murio. That's Bob Iacino. This is Tradier's Rundown. We together are the hosts of Tradier's The Trader's Edge, which airs live on Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Central Time in the great city of Chicago, where we say scenario. Please join us, and thank you guys for all your support.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.